Hello and welcome to the Alpha Demo and Q&A webcast. I'm Dave McCormick, VP of Product Management here at Alpha Software. And every week we try to put on a pretty good presentation, actually a good presentation, a solid presentation, which is why hopefully you all come back. But today's is going to be amazing because today I have got Robin Bennett from Start Software, who has put together a software as a service application for doing legal forms, specifically in this case, wills, but it does more than that as well. Robin sent me a video of this application and sent us the team a video about a month ago, and we were absolutely blown away by it. And I think you'll be very, very impressed by what he's put together there. We are also here, of course, to answer your questions, and you could type those questions into either the chat window or the questions box of the GoToWebinar control panel, depending on what your interface is there. Also joining us today from Start Software, and will be joining us in a moment, I'm sure, is Dan Darkin, who works with Robin there. And I think we are ready to get started. So hello, Robin, are you there?
I am. Hi, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. I'm going to go ahead and make you the presenter, and then you can share your screen with us. You should see a dialog box asking you what screen you want to share. Aha, there we go. I'm looking at the PowerPoint.
Great, and that's all you can see, I hope?
That's hopefully.
Well, I've got about 14 screens here, Dave.
That raises a whole bunch of other questions. What else is going on there?
Well, you know. Anyway,
that's all I can see. Looks good, man. Thanks.
We'll keep this nice and interactive if that's okay, Dave. So I'll be talking to you throughout. I might even write your will during the presentation.
Really? Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. You get a freebie. You get a free will as being the host of the presentation. Dan's joining us shortly. He's been with a client all day, so he's just driven back and he's just taking his coat off. Let's see what we're going to cover off today. And thanks for the invite to do this. We always really enjoy doing these. So we've only got 4 things. We've only got one PowerPoint slide. I'm sure you'll be glad to hear that. We're going to give you a very quick introduction to Start Software and Alpha Legal, which is the product we're talking about today. I'm going to very briefly explain how Alpha Legal works and how we've built it using Alpha Anyhere and Alpha Cloud. It's actually, Dave, a really good demonstration, a good showcase of the power of the Alpha technologies. So if we've got people watching today who are new to Alpha or wonder how far you can take the product or wonder what sort of product you can build, this will answer a lot of questions, I think, because it's not only an interactive SaaS web app, it's also an app in the app stores. And it uses Alpha Cloud for deployment. So it really is a good showcase of Alpha technologies. Then we're going to jump into the main part of the presentation, which is we're going to write a will, and hopefully write yours, Dave, if we can do that. If you're prepared to share your personal details with the world. Nice. And then we're going to look at how we use the templating feature in Alpha to build our write a will feature. Now, just as an aside, when in the good old days, pre-pandemic days, when we had the physical dev cons, we used to come across to Boston or Florida and meet with other developers from around the world. I remember Selwyn and the other development team telling me how important client-side templating was going to be and how my team needed to get into client-side templating. And I really didn't get it. I'll be honest. He told me, I think 3 years on the trot, I did not get it. We now get it. It's amazing. If you're watching this webinar and you've not tried client-side templating in Alpha, do it. Do it immediately. Do it now. Do it. Drop everything. Don't go to bed tonight. Just jump into it. I'm going to show you how to get into it. I'm going to show you some of the ideas, some of the power of it. And hopefully today will inspire you to do a bit more. So that's what we're covering off today. That all make sense, Dave, to you?
This sounds terrific. Absolutely. In the meantime, I'm going to go see if I can grab some documentation links for client-side templating.
Yes, that's a great idea. Not least to help me out later.
But do pay attention to Robin's webinar. Do after the webinar, please. Yeah, thank you.
So here we go. This is Start Software. Just to very quickly to tell you who we are. We're a software development business. We have been using Alpha products almost exclusively for the last 10 years or so. During that time, our business has grown probably 8-fold. We're about 15 strong now around the world. We're based in the UK, but we have a sister business in Australia, in Adelaide, which is here. We have developers that are in Indonesia. We have developers in the US. And we're always looking for talented new developers. So again, if you're watching this while Dave's run off to get his documentation links, I'll sneak in a little plug here for Start Software. If you're into Alpha, oh, he's back. If you're into Alpha, you're a talented developer or a young developer or just got into the product and you're looking for a company to work with, drop us a line afterwards. Dan and myself, we'd love to hear from you. That's us. We build applications for all sorts of industries, but in particular, what we're talking about today is Alpha Legal. This is Alpha Legal. What is Alpha Legal? Well, it's a secure client portal for the legal industry. What on earth does that mean? Well, if you're a lawyer, for example, and you're talking to your clients, you need to talk to them in a secure way. You need to send them documents for signing. You need to get to verify their ID before, for example, you help them to buy or sell a house. All of those things are done in Alpha Legal. So our customers are people in the legal industry. So they're lawyers, they're people working in real estate, they're accountants. So people who need to talk to their clients in a secure way. I've got a background in cybersecurity, and over the years we've worked with companies and seen absolutely horrible stories and real life case studies where things have gone terribly wrong. In particular, emails are not secure. Now that's something that some people know, some people don't know, but email servers are relatively easy to be hacked. Emails, it's relatively easy to intercept them, and it's even relatively easy to modify PDF documents that are sent as an attachment in an email. Now, if this is news to you, then it's worth reading up about it. We've seen situations where people have had invoices intercepted, PDF invoices intercepted, modified, the bank details modified, and people have lost tens or hundreds of thousands of pounds or dollars because of the frauds that ensue. So we built Alpha Legal to solve this problem. Aimed at the legal profession, use this to talk to your clients. It's secure, it's easy, your clients will like it. They can do it through the web or they can do it in an app. That's what Alpha Legal is. Oh, look at this. I just scrolled past. We were nominated, we actually won the award last year, Legal Supplier of the Year. So we're very proud of that. We have if I was on my camera, I could show you the award that's on our shelf behind me. And this is for our customer service. From a standing start about 2 years ago, Alpha Legal has got this amount of throughput now. So we've just clicked over about a week ago the 100,000th ID document that the system had processed. So we're pleased, it's going well. It's a busy system that gets new subscribers every day. And that's what it's all about. Like I say, it's about secure forms of messaging, sharing documents, either just to read or for signing. And there's an app in the app stores as well. And here's our new Write a Will feature. So hopefully, flicking back to the agenda, that's given you an idea of us and of Alpha Legal. I think what we should do next is have a look at how we put Alpha Legal together. That's probably where we should go. So this is Alpha Legal. I've signed in. What we have on the left-hand side is a menu, as you can see. Menu with little notification icons, which show us that there's things for us to look at here. I've got a form I need to action, and there's 5 documents that I need to action that are new. We've got like a bar on the top with the logo, and we've got a selector here so I can switch companies if I have more than one company. I've got my profile icon, top right. I've got a little alert here. I can refer a friend and get myself 500 credits. The way Alpha Legal works, that people pay a subscription, and all of this, by the way, is completely self-service, and that's really important to say. We don't get involved, Dave, at all. When somebody comes to the website, they like the look of the product, they click this register button, that takes them to an Alpha powered web page to get their details. They then sign up for a direct debit online. That all happens automatically. They upload their client, their logo, their branding. That then brands the product to them automatically. It's completely self-service. So this is a software as a service, a SaaS application that is completely self-service. And yeah, say we get subscribers every day. So this here is a little way we get people to recommend the product to their colleagues, they're people in their industry, and they can get free credits. Once you've actually signed up for the product, there's a monthly subscription, which costs not many dollars, not many pounds. But then when they use services within the product, they use their credits, and they have like a credit bank, and they have to top up that credit bank when the credit bank's getting low. So we get constant income from the subscription, but also from the usage. So people that use the system more pay more. Wills, for example, cost 100 credits, and 100 credits can be as little as £4, which is with exchange rate as it is, Dave, and it's painful for us buying from America at the moment. It's about $4. Or
Are we really at parity with the pound to the dollar?
It is virtually parity. It used to be 2 to 1, and it's almost parity now. It's terrible.
Robin,
really.
I'm coming over to visit tomorrow.
Well, it's cheap for you and expensive for us. That's the way it is. Anyway, so that's there. Then we've got some quick start options here. So if I want to write a will, I click that button. I'm going to do that shortly. If I want to get somebody's ID documents from them, so that's their passport, driving license, etc., I'd click there. If I want to share a document, I click there. You get the idea. So these are sort of quick start options at the top. Then we have a dashboard showing them how many things are in various stages. Things in red are things that I need to action or I need to worry about. This is quite nice. I'll come back to how we built that bit in a minute. This is quite nice. This is a scrolling newsfeed. So you can see we've got lots of things on here. Here's us winning that award again, Dan. I thought I'd mention that just in passing. I do mention it a lot, Dave. We don't win many awards. We don't put ourselves in.
Well done.
But thank you. This is a news feed. It's actually reading from a Google Blogger site. Blogs sound a bit old-fashioned, but they're actually quite useful still. We post on a blog, on a Google Blogger site. The Blogger site has an RSS feed. RSS is old internet for updating other websites when you change something on a website. And what happens is that RSS feed feeds a widget. The widget isn't part of Alpha, but because Alpha is so extensible, you can add extra things into Alpha. You're not restricted at all by the controls that come with Alpha. So we've plugged in an RSS scrolling newsfeed widget that we found on the web, pointed it at our Blogger site, and this gives us this nice feature. So whenever we blog, people get the latest news. The bottom here, we've got some getting started things. These are quite nice. So if people, just signing up for the first time, it tells them how to do things and they can switch them off using these switches, so they're not pestered with them after they've done it once. And bottom left, we've got a chatbot. The chatbot's very cool. The chatbot allows our users to talk to us, to ask questions, to all the things that they ask over and over again. They can type it in there and get the standard answers. So that's what the chatbot does. There you go. There's a sort of run through of the screen furniture. So how do we put this together in Alpha? Well, it looks a little bit like a tabbed UI. If you're an Alpha user, an Alpha developer, you'll probably know about tabbed UIs. Tabbed UIs are one of the methods that you can use to put a menu down the left-hand side, typically down the left-hand side, could be on the right-hand side. And then when you click menu options, things appear in a new tab in the interface. This actually isn't a tabbed UI. Dan did this a different way. This is an expanding menu control in Alpha. One of the first times we've actually used it in a live app. And it's quite nice because it's enabled Dan to do things like these notification bells, these little notification icons. And you've got sub menus as well coming off the menu there for your setup screens and things. At the top, these are all frames, by the way. Look, so I can expand and contract those. This, in fact, is just HTML. So if, again, we could have done this with a list. This could have been a list very easily. It could have been a grid component. List, I guess, is where we'd have the obvious way of doing this. But Dan's done it using just HTML. As I mentioned before, one of the real strengths of Alpha Anyhere is that you can get under the bonnet, under the hood, I think you call it, Dave, to get your hands dirty, to inject HTML, to inject JavaScript, to do whatever you want to do. And that's what Dan's done with that one. The dashboard is also HTML, although if I was building this, I think I probably would have used a list. And then the numbers are hooked up to SQL queries, which are querying the data to give us the live stats. All of these things, of course, I can click through. So I've got 10 contacts. If I click through there, I'm going to get to my contacts, which I could have got to through the menu as well. So all of the things on the home page are live. So again, if I've got a form I need to action or a milestone that's overdue, I can click straight through and see them. Here's showing my credits, by the way. I mentioned that Alpha Legal works on a credit bank basis. Here we've got 3,000, I've got 3,000 credits in my account. So I topped up this morning, ready for the demo, just in case we ran out, Dave, and it got a bit embarrassing. I had to put my credit card in halfway through. But I think that gives you an idea of how we did it. The chatbot, by the way, this is very topical. We're putting chatbots in most of our products now. We've used this thing called ConversioBot, which is quite nice. It's quite a cost-effective one, and very, very easy to integrate into an Alpha application. So that's worth people having a look at. The big news, of course, at the moment in chat world is ChatGPT, the AI super intelligent chat engine that's appeared that everyone's experimenting with. And one of the chatbots that we've just put into one of our clients' applications is AI powered and is extraordinary, Dave. We gave it the user guide for the system plus some technical documentation. It learned how to answer any question. It was as simple as that. It's utterly extraordinary. So I think the next 12 months or so, we're going to be talking to all of our clients about putting AI powered chat into their products. It's a game changer. I think
maybe for 2024 it could be doing our webinars for us, you know.
Wouldn't that be nice? To be honest, I'm not actually sat here. I am powered by AI. I've been in the pub for at least
the model earlier. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. I am ChatGPT today. So that gives us an idea of how some of this was put together. Some of these sorts of screens you'll recognize if you're an Alpha developer. You'll say, okay, that's just a list. It is just a list. It's quite a nice list. It's got some nice sort of cosmetics going on. We've got the little indicator numbers. That's nice to tell you how many things there are, so you don't have to drill down. For example, Scott's got one document there that I created earlier. I think that's probably all I'm going to show you from here, because most of the screens look sort of similar enough that I don't need to go into too many details, because mostly people would have seen screens like this in some, in applications. I've got a map on this one. I've got, a little tabbed interface. You get the idea. This is a UX. UX components for people new to Alpha are the bedrock of most web and mobile applications. Really flexible, really powerful. And yeah, most applications are built with UX components, and that's a UX component. So I think what we'll do, Dave, if it's okay with you, I think we should write you a will, don't you?
Oh boy!
See what happens.
Right. Okay.
I'll make it up. Don't worry. You haven't got to be truthful in anything you tell me. This is not being recorded. Oh, it is being recorded. Okay. Well, definitely don't tell me anything that's for real then. So I'll just call you.
That's fine. Yeah.
I'll call you Dave Alpha rather than your real name. How about that? Dave at alphasoftware.com. I don't know if that would actually get to you.
It will actually.
Alpha Street in Alpha Town, Alphaville. Right, good. This will do. And I think I just need to give you a phone number. And a date of birth. I won't embarrass you, Dave, although I think you're pretty much the same age as me, aren't you?
I think that's right.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah. So that will do. So Dave Alpha's now in the system as a contact. So if you, again, just to put yourself in the right frame of mind here, I'm a lawyer or a real estate agent or a mortgage broker. Does mortgage broker translate, Dave? Is that something you have over there?
We do have mortgage brokers, as a matter of fact, yes.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. So mortgage brokers are actually a big client base for us. Lawyers may not be using this system to write a will, because they'll be doing it probably with a quill pen and a pot of ink, because they're not exactly up with technology. But people like mortgage brokers, real estate agents, accountants, in the UK at least, often write wills as a sideline business. So they're talking to you about your mortgage, or they're talking to you about they're buying or selling a house for you, and they'll say, oh, by the way, Dave, if you're buying this fantastic house, you really should have a will, because what happens if, and you want to make sure that things go to your children or whoever it is.
Doesn't
So they,
inspire a lot of confidence about the safety of the house you're buying, but all right. Yeah, I can see
but it's the
that.
pool. The problem is the massive pool that you've
It's
had.
the
Dave. You
pool,
might
like, oh,
drown.
gotcha.
Well, it's your fault for having such an extravagant pool. So it's often a sideline, a side hustle, I guess you'd call it, for
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, you know, in terms of so people do this, and the client doesn't need to know how easy this is. That's the
Right.
point. I first got, just as an aside, I first got into will writing at least 20 years ago, probably 25 years ago. One of the first commercial pieces of software that I wrote was the first will writing package for Windows. Creatively called Willwriter for Windows. I don't know how I came up with that name, but
That's pretty great.
thank you. It sold really well, and I didn't have the idea to do it. A friend of mine who had worked out how to write a will and how simple it was came to me and said, "Could you turn this into a Windows piece of Windows software?" Which we did, and it did rather well. So I've actually been in and around will writing for all this time, but and funny enough, wills haven't really changed hugely. So let's get into it, and I'll show you how we're doing it in Alpha anyway. So I picked you. I'm going to pick Simple Will. This is in fact a list of templates. I've just narrowed it down today just as to get us to Simple Will. In the UK, the wills are slightly different in England, Wales, Northern Ireland, Scotland. There are very subtle differences. For example, in the US, there might be differences per state. In Australia, there are differences per state. So we can have a number of different templates here, depending on what type of document you're producing, and we'll come back to that in a minute. I'm just going to very, very quickly do Dave's will here. So it's brought through Dave's details. I just need to reconfirm his phone number. Male. Does Dave have a partner? Yes. Do you have a marriage plan, Dave? This is where it gets
Not
personal.
at the moment. Yeah, no, I'm already married, so I would say
You're
not.
okay. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. All right, okay. Yeah, well, that one's plenty. You'll see what's going on here that
What?
you have on the left. I don't know why I said that. On the left-hand side, we are filling in information. On the middle, we have a progress bar. And on the right-hand side, we've got Dave's will that's appearing as we work. Now I'm going to switch the cover page off and look at this. Is quite extraordinary. So here we have Dave's partner, Mrs. Can I ask your partner's name?
Erica, E-R-I-C-A.
Erica.
Yep.
Thank you. Erica Alpha, and she's much younger than Dave.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and here's Erica at alpha.com, and this is her phone number. And you're married? Are you married? I'm going to say you're married.
Yes. Yep.
Yes. Okay. So this is now put Dave's wife in as the partner. Executors are people who make sure the will is acted out. So if you die and your will is then found and is read, it will say in the will who the executors are, and those are people typically close family, brother, sister, that sort of thing. And you sometimes have professional people as executors, and I'm going to say yes, we'll have a professional executor as well. It just helps if things get messy or somebody contests the will. And you can see as I'm filling in information, this is happening live in front of us. So in the will, it says I appoint my wife Erica Alpha and Countrywide Tax and Trust Corporation. They're a client of ours. Who would act as professional executors. You can have reserve executors. Let's go down to guardians. Guardians are people who would act to look after the children if necessary. So let's suppose Dave's got a brother, John, and John would be suitable, and High Street, and that's John at email.com, and there's his phone number. Okay, so I'm going to save that. We can have multiple guardians. These are lists here, look, you can see. So the executors was actually a list. Guardians is a list. Reserve guardians would be the same. If I carry on now, we've now got an appointment of guardians clause. We don't want any reserve guardians, so I'll keep going. Legacies, and this is where the will gets interesting. These are specific things that you want to leave. This is what people generally think a will's all about. So if
I see. Yeah.
Yeah, so these are the specific things that you say, yeah, well, I want to leave my gold watch to somebody. So
Like a cast iron television, for example, or
exactly, cast iron TV. There we go.
Yeah.
And this, you're going to give this to John to say thank you for him being an executor. And we'll add something else. You can leave something to me if that's all right, if you don't mind.
Yeah, you
I'll
can
have
have. I don't
your
have a pit bull, but I might have a pit bull someday. So how about a pit bull?
okay, that's
Yeah,
so
there you go.
kind of you. Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
no problem. Yeah,
Yeah,
careful, he's not that friendly. Yeah,
yeah, I don't know what to say.
yeah.
So there we then we've got a couple of legacies. Now if I look in the will, we will have some legacies. I think I might have just scanned. Oh, no, I've got to go on the next page. There we go. If I scroll up, I hope I'm not making people sick there. So there we go. So we've now got some legacies coming up in the will. Monetary legacies, this is cash. I think we should leave something to Dan, who sat next to me. I think we should leave him at least £10.
Oh, that sounds fair.
Yeah, I think so. There we go. So we've now got some monetary legacies. The main distribution in a will is where you decide. Who knew people could watch an Alpha webinar and learn how to write a will? Eh? This is all for free, Dave. This is unbelievable. So the main distribution is who is going to get the bulk of your estate. So yes, you've given away your cast iron TV and the whatever it was, the pit bull terrier.
Who's going to get
Who's going to
else?
get the bulk of everything else? So
Yeah.
generally speaking, it's your spouse or partner, and generally speaking, if they're not around, it'll be your kids. So that's the sort of easy way of doing that. You can list people separately, individually, and that's what these beneficiary sections are all about. Requests are interesting. Requests are the things that people imagine should go in a will. In fact, they have no legal standing in the UK, but it's the sort of thing where you say, I want to be cremated rather than buried. And at my funeral, I want always look on the bright side of life. Nice. To be sung, you know, to be sung. And dancing. I don't want dancing at my funeral. So yeah, so these things will appear in the will. They actually have no legal standing, but always look on the bright. There we go. But people expect to see them. And the final thing, the intentional exclusions. This is where you've fallen out with your brother, your sister, you know, and you want to specifically say, yeah, I'm leaving nothing to my ex-wife.
Okay.
She's taking me to the cleaners, and this is, you know, so this again in the UK, this doesn't stop that person making a claim on your estate if they can demonstrate to a judge that they should have had one. Yeah. Right. So, but it's you know, it's a good start. So so there we go. If I just save that now, our final page. So here we go. I've intentionally excluded. So now what we've got a will, a legally valid will. We've ticked off all the boxes we need to. Here it's presenting us with a really useful summary of the will. Mostly when somebody writes a will for somebody, for a client, they get spellings wrong, Dave. They get the name spelt wrong. So they produce the will, they bind it, they do all of the fancy packaging of the will. They take it round to the house to get it signed and to earn their $200 fee, and they find they've misspelled Erica. So this summary can go to the client electronically, and they can then confirm that there's no spelling mistakes.
Nice.
So that's really nice. Yeah. So they actually get a message through Alpha Legal straight to their smartphone that says, hey, there's some information for you to confirm. It pops up in a nice format. They get to confirm it. So before they actually produce the will itself, using these buttons here on the right hand side, which I'm waving my mouse at, they get a chance to confirm the spellings and things, so which is really, really useful. And the mirror will button, which is also very, very useful, is when if I'm doing your will, Dave, and there's a natural business opportunity for me here, and that's to do your wife's will. It won't be exactly the same, but it'll be very similar. So a mirror will creates the basis of Erica's will from your instructions, and I can then just edit what's different. So it may be that she might be leaving the jewelry to your daughters or whatever, you know, there'll be some extra
almost things like a duplicate button or something.
It's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's a duplicate or clone button. And that will create me the details, and I just then got to fill in the blanks. So that's how you do a will. That's how easy it is. Over here, I would say if I was a mortgage broker and I was producing a will for somebody, I would probably be charging them £100, £150, something like that, which again is like $100, $150. It's very simple to do. Very, very simple to do. There are lots of will writing systems over here now where the clients can do it completely themselves, but people still are very wary of it. Clients, you know, people still imagine that a will is something that a lawyer would write for you, and if you don't, you know, if you did it yourself, would it be legal? Would it be valid? Would it be challenged? So people still like going to professional, and this system, our writer will feature an Alpha Legal, enables a professional to do it, but to do it incredibly quickly.
That is
Did that make
very,
sense,
very
Dave?
cool. Absolutely. Fantastic.
Cool.
I'm
So how did we
still,
build this?
except you don't do wills in the US, otherwise,
Well,
you tell them. Yes.
we're gonna start. Well, I don't know. We're
Right.
exploring different countries at the moment. Australia, we can do wills in. South Africa, we
Excellent.
can.
All right.
US, we're looking at the US next. Anyway, let's just see how we built this. So this is actually a panel that slid out. So panels are controls in UX components that are great for mobile apps, but I noticed in Dion's presentation last week, Dave, he was talking about panels being useful in web apps as well, desktop apps.
It was.
Absolutely, they are. We use them all the time. So panels are a really cool thing. So this, I think, is probably a panel layout. Can you unmute Dan, Dave, or can you do it himself so Dan can join in?
I think either way, but I'm going to unmute it. Hey, Dan, are you there?
I am. Hello, Dave.
Hey.
How you doing?
Welcome. Oh, good.
Good. Excellent. Yeah. So as Robin was saying, this is it's actually a docked panel that we're sliding out, and within that panel, we have then got numerous panels within there, as you can see. So we've got the three sections: the summary, progress, and the will. So this is essentially one UX loaded into a panel, which has got more panels in it. It sounds complicated, but it's not. Honestly, it's quite straightforward. But yeah, that's essentially what we've got going on here. So
Nice.
the left-hand side, as Robin said, the summary bit, that's just giving you an overview of the will. And I think we used a view box to actually get this info in. So we just collated everything that was entered further up in the UX and then just popped it into a view box there. The progress section is actually a list. So that's just a list control, and we add and remove records when sections are needed to be added and removed. So that was quite a nice use for a list there. And then again, we've got I think it's probably a free form layout on the right hand side, which is just popping the HTML into there. So we've got a few bits and pieces going on with this component. But yeah,
That's
yeah,
fantastic.
it's really cool.
And I like very much how you use the list as a navigation, for navigation, not just for data entry or viewing. That's a very clever technique.
Yeah, something a little bit different, but we just found it seemed to work well and fit in nicely for what we were going for.
So in the next 10 minutes,
Go
if that's all right, Dave, I was going to show you the templating next, and then I think we're probably done, unless we've got any questions at this point. Yeah, would that be okay?
Yep. That would
Cool.
be great. Thank you.
So great. So templating. Like I say, I remember the Alpha development team telling us about this year after year and us really not getting it. Only in the last couple of years, Dave, have we really understood how powerful it is. But it can do what I'm about to show you, but it can do a whole load more as well. It's one of those techniques and tools that once you understand what it's doing, you'll have all sorts of ideas, and it will solve all sorts of problems that you didn't even imagine that templating would be the solution for. The thing we use all of the time is this feature here. So I've just gone into Alpha Anyhere, just in a blank setup here. And it's the template tester window. And I'm going to use this for the rest of this presentation, just so that you can see how we use it to build and test templates. But it also gives you a very good idea. It's going to tell a little story, I think, about how you could imagine our will writing template being put together using this technique. Hope that makes sense.
That looks great.
So here we have the template tester window. On the left-hand side, we have some data. The data is in JSON format. JSON, if you're not familiar with it, is just a standard structure for putting data in that's typically used to exchange information or store information on the internet. Not difficult to read. You've got these curly brackets. You see a lot of curly brackets in JSON. You see essentially field names in quotes, double quotes like that, colon, and then the data. So first name Robin, second name Bennett. You can see how that's structured. Here we have the template. Here we have some JavaScript, here we have some CSS, and here we have the result. And the template tester window lets you do this in real time. We're not actually using JavaScript today, and we're not going to use CSS today. So I think I can probably close those off and just make things a bit bigger. But you can incorporate JavaScript and CSS into a template so that you can have JavaScript functions operating and CSS styling happening to really, really make your templates impressive. Here you can see what the template looks like. Here is the will of first name, second name. Here's some more curly brackets. Look, you see curly brackets a lot in templates, and here is the result. This is no surprise. If I was Dave Bennett, you can see here live, I get the results. If I change the template, here is the last will, because that's what it should say. Our first name, second name, you can see what's going on. So the Alpha templating engine takes a block of JSON data, it takes a template, it merges the two, and then we're just viewing the result here in the preview. And you can see here, this is pretty much what I was doing in Alpha Legal. I wasn't typing in JSON data. We had some forms that were storing the data as JSON, but we have a template in this format, and you saw the output there on the right hand side. So very much the structure that I showed in Alpha Legal, albeit I'm typing the data in as JSON here, not using a form. By the way, if you haven't seen this feature, and I'll just point at it, the JSON form tester is unbelievably brilliant. That's another exciting one, but one for another webinar. That's where you can build forms from JSON data automatically, which is such a powerful feature, but that's one for another day. Let's extend this a little bit further. So I've saved a few examples away here just to run through really quickly. Step one is going to show us a feature which baffled us, and this is going to sound a bit bizarre because we think we're technical, pretty technical, pretty switched on people, but it's baffled us for ages. How do you get the numbering working in a will? Because each paragraph has to be numbered. If they're not numbered, somebody could insert text or remove text, and it would be, it wouldn't be obvious that they'd done it. The will could be tampered with. Well, because in this case we're generating HTML as the output, we can use all of the standard HTML tags like OL for ordered list. If you've ever done any HTML, this might be familiar to you. OL, it stands for ordered list or numbered list. And therefore I can use the LI tag, the HTML tag LI for list item, and this will automatically number the paragraphs. So if I put another paragraph in, the second one might be to do with the Guardian. So I can say, I would like Dave Smith to be the Guardian. And by putting that LI tag, you can see this is numbered it. And it's not actually, the numberings here is not being done by the client-side templating tool in Alpha. It's being done just because this is HTML. So you have all of the standard HTML available to you. And I say this baffled us because when we first started to do this, Dave, we were generating the paragraph numbers in code in JavaScript because we thought we had to. And the reason that that gets important is if I load the next example, if you've got conditional text, so one of the questions in a will is, are you going to be married? The reason for that is if a marriage invalidates a will unless the will was written with the knowledge that the marriage was going to take place and you put that in the will. In other words, if I just write my will, then I get married next year, I die, the will is read, because I've got married, if there's no reference to that marriage in the will, they just have to rip the will up, it's not valid. If though I know I'm going to get married, I can put a paragraph in the will that says, I know I'm going to get married, and this will is still valid. So here's a conditional paragraph. In other words, this paragraph here, which on the right-hand side, it says the will is written in the context that the testator is going to be married. That clause should only be included if I've ticked the box that says, yes, I'm getting married. So if I say no there, you can see the paragraph disappears. If I say yes, the paragraph appears. And that's happening because...
And the numbering changes for you automatically.
Exactly. And that's what baffled us. And I sent an email into guides@alphasoftware.com. That's G-U-I-D-E-S. I watched a few of these, Dave. I know what I'm supposed to say. Send an email into guides@alphasoftware.com and they will come up with some ideas. And in fact, in this case, 2 or 3 of the developers at Alpha sent us all sorts of really complicated JavaScript suggestions to write in functions and all sorts, and we were scratching our heads. And it was Selwyn who said, well, obviously you could just use ordered lists in HTML. And we went, oh yeah, of course we could. We knew that. We had no idea. We'd forgotten
We were
completely.
testing you. Yeah.
So you can see here this if that templates support if statements, just like every programming language. So I'm saying if will be married is yes, then include this text. And you can see, so that's how we can start building up conditional text in a template, paragraphs that should or shouldn't be there, or sentences that should or shouldn't be there, or formatting that should or shouldn't be there. Bear in mind, of course, that this is just HTML. So if I wanted to, I could have bold or underlined or italic or blocks of CSS or anything happening conditionally using ifs. So our template's now starting to look a little bit more like a will. I've got a conditional paragraph here. I've also got a conditional paragraph about children. So if I say I haven't got any children, the children clause, which is 3b, disappears. You can see there. And if I have another paragraph, another at the bottom here, final paragraph, please bury me, no, please cremate me, I'll say. Then, what have I done wrong there? I've done something.
You didn't.
Yes, I've closed my ordered list, haven't I? That's what I haven't done, thanks, Dan. Yeah. So I've missed my ordered list closure, or I've done something even worse. Hey, never type anything in live into a webinar. We'll spot it in a minute. But yeah, the paragraph numbering continues to work, and this was really, so it was very complicated. You can imagine a will with 50 paragraphs, some of which are conditional. You can't be generating paragraph numbers because it just gets too complicated, because you need to track which one's there. Using this ordered list feature just solved it for us. So that's how you do conditionals in a template. And the final one I was going to show you, I think, is that one. Yes, this is how you do lists. Now lists, JSON supports hierarchy. So what I've got on the left hand side here is a legacies tag in the JSON data, and you can see I've got a list here. I've got my watches, my laptops. This list could be as long as I wanted. And how does this appear? And you can see on the preview here, I've got a list look of my watches and my laptops. How do we put that in the template? Well, this is how you do it. You put the tag name that matches what you've got here. So I've got legacies in curly brackets, and then /legacies closes that off. And then between the two, I put the thing that I want to repeat. So I'm putting the word gift, colon, space, and then the value of the legacy. So the name, which is watches and laptops. So you can see how that's working. The BR is an HTML tag that just gives me a blank line. But of course, I could have done this as an ordered list. So I could have set up another ordered list here. So I had A, B, C, D, E. That would work just nicely. And I'm going to be brave and do it live. So here we have another ordered list. And if I put LI there we go. Look, we've got a 1, 2 going on there. And if I add another, Pitbull was the other one, wasn't it? Pitbull, there we go. So your Pitbull, you can see now I've got a list of legacies in here. So now we're showing how all of the essential structure of a will document. So numbered paragraphs, sub-numbered paragraphs, so bullet points or numbers within a paragraph, conditional paragraphs, so this should or shouldn't be included, and lists of things, how you can do them all in the Alpha client-side templating language, and it's as easy as this. And that, Dave, wraps up the demo.
That is really cool, and also a really good introduction to client-side templating as well. So thank you very much for showing that. We did have a quick question, which was,
yeah, sure.
How do you enable the badges in the menu? They just thought that was really cool back in the.
That's one. Oh yeah, that is a very cool feature, isn't it? How do we do these, Dan? How do we do the numbering?
Okay, so what we've got going on is essentially we put a badge at the end of each of the buttons that we want to show the number for, as you can see the notifications. And it's basically just using HTML, CSS, and then a look.
Oh, is it to give it? You created the corners you made round. You gave them
Exactly.
a radius. Okay,
yeah,
I see. And then a background color.
It. You've got it. So all we've got there is just a span tag, and then that's got a particular class on it, which makes it look like a notification icon.
Very clever. Yeah, it looks terrific. Thank you. That looks like it for questions. I just want to thank you again. This is a really terrific presentation and a really cool app. So thanks so much. If people do have further questions, of course, you can send them to, as Robin pointed out, guides, GUIDES at alphasoftware.com. Until then, hope to see you at our next Wednesday webinar. Until then, take care and stay well. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dave. See ya.
Thanks.